What's up? Good afternoon, morning, good evening. Welcome. What's up, Nico, Ned, Michelangelo, Tim? What's up, guys? I'm all good, thanks. And yourself, Tim? 100 push-ups in 1 minute means 100 pips. 100 pips in 1 minute. Take me back to 2022. Okay, so here on gold, firstly, I want to just go back to the higher time frame and go back to my breakdown that I was looking at as a weekly outlook. So this was actually my weekly outlook from last week. Wanting to see a pullback here. Let's maybe go to the 4-hour time frame. So we came into these lows at 1885, and I was wanting to see a pullback to 1920, possibly even 1932. We even discussed possible deeper pullbacks to like 1945, 1950. So I do believe that there is potentially more range to move up, but overall, I'm still more bearish on gold, to be honest. And just seeing the way we're reacting here around 1920, we broke above 1920, came into that key level at 1925, and we're back below 1920 now. So you can see this current 4-hour candle, very strong bearish. You've got 30 minutes left, 38 minutes. Anything can happen in that 30 minutes. This 4-hour candle could even flip bullish if there were enough volume. So we'll wait and see. You've got a lot of news today as well. So we've got some news at 3 on the 4-hour candle close, so that will be interesting. And then we've got CB consumer confidence and jolts at 4. So 30 minutes after NYC open. So one thing that I like to look for coming into the session is, if we are getting these moves in one direction, pre-New York or New York open, first 30 minutes of New York, oftentimes that's giving you your direction for the day or for the rest of the session. And then if you are waiting for a pullback into a previous key level or some previous structure from earlier on in the day, so in this instance, you can see obviously that direction is coming to the downside, very clean move to the downside. If you wait for a pullback here and see resistance forming around 1920, let's say, or even pulling back to that support from London session at 1922.5, which lines up with this overall resistance from this range we've been in for some time. Just a reminder, we are still actually in this range, so you need to be careful. But overall, this move today is really clearing things up because this is essentially clean traffic within this range now. So nice volume. We've got news today. Hopefully we'll get some nice setups. So for me, this is This is what I would like to see. I would like to see these pullbacks to either 1922, or you also have a support here just below 1920. But if this is going to be your, just give me a second. Let's say this support right here will be your area of contention that's structured to retest and then continue bearish, something like that. You know, if that's the case, you'll probably see we'll tap into 1920 as well. And then you can be scaling into into a lower time frame, looking for reactions from 1920. So that would be sort of what I'm looking for, but I want to be open to anything today because your daily candle is bullish. I don't want to lose sight of that either. The weekly candle is bullish. Yesterday our daily candle was bullish. So we failed to break yesterday's highs and continue to push up during London. No surprise, low volume. This could potentially just be a steeper bottom wick on the daily, grabbing more liquidity before we drive up to 1930. Now I do think the moves may be dependent on the news today. We have seen some declining data for the US economy as of late. So this jolts may be quite interesting. If numbers are coming out lower than, where are the forecasted numbers here? So you can already see they've forecasted a drop in those jolts numbers. So if numbers are coming out even lower than the forecast, we should see that bullish continuation on gold in line with the daily. Of course, you've got the CB consumer confidence as well. So when you got all these data folders together, there's a higher probability you have mixed numbers. So that's also something we need to take into account. If you have mixed numbers and there's no folder that is really standing out, then you may see whipsaws. What I mean by that, if one is slightly good, one is slightly bad, then what you could see on gold is just some up and down, no real clear direction. And that price action is not really great to trade. If one is slightly bad and then one is really good, we'll obviously lean more towards the one-sided results, but mixed numbers, just be careful. Overall, we're still in this range here. So pretty tricky range. But like I say, so far this move that we've had down today is sort of clearing things up, leaving clean traffic within this range. So let's say we find support around 1913. This is also another option now, where if, let's say, you can see we're coming down to the lows of this range. Let's say we come down into 1913, reject, and then you get a break and retest above 1915 here, something like this. You can look to trade this pullback against this bearish volume through pre-New York. But like I say, just be careful as you come into 1920, as that's where you could potentially see rejections and then see a continuation of this move. Breaking below 1913. There we're going to have pretty clear sells. You'll also be breaking yesterday's lows. But I would want to see a break below 1913, a retest of that level, possibly even a retest of 1915, then breaking back below 1913 or something like that, all the way down to 1905, even 1903. So we've got buy ideas from the bottom of the range. like I say, could potentially just be a pullback. So tricky. Those bars are going to be tricky for me. If we've got a lot of volume here and we happen to get back above 1925, break and retest above here makes sense for bars up to 1930, even 1932.5. You guys see the bars yesterday? Man, I came to my chart in the I came to my computer in the evening, opened the chart, and then it was something like this, right? And we tapped 25 perfectly. So I mean, you can see why I use these psychological levels, the round numbers and the fives. So 1920, 1925. You know, you're getting really nice reactions in those zones or those key levels when you have a lot of volume on gold. Even here, once again, this is 1920. You know, this whole range has practically been between 1920 and 1915. So yeah, let's just wait and see what happens here. We've got 30 minutes until the 4-hour close, until that news. So let's just stay patient. Close your eyes and sell US30. Yeah, I actually had a look at US30 just now. Because gold and US30 have overall been moving in correlation, I would say. With the Fed's rate hikes in focus, we can see obviously US30 more bearish here. Same story on gold. So I was thinking if US30 is not really breaking above this area, pushing up higher, forming resistance, and instead we continue on bearish, you know, gold makes sense to also continue with that bearish trend in line with the weekly outlook. DXY here also just continues to push on up. So a very strong dollar coming into the session, but we need to just be careful as we come into these highs. So yeah, it's going to be quite an interesting session. Okay, so it looks like we may not get the push into 1913. You're already seeing a rejection here from 1915. So this may be the beginning of that pullback here. The fact that we haven't tapped into 1913 I think that there's quite a high probability that we still tap into 1913. So if we are not coming into 1913 now, you get a deeper pullback. You know, there's still a high probability we come back down into this level. So I'm looking for a pullback here to 1922.5 or 1920 here for the sells. Like I discussed, I don't mind taking the buys off of the lows of this range. If there's a nice setup, get a good risk to reward back up to 1920 at least. And then at 1920, just watch for those rejections. Once the news comes out, the plan may completely change, so just keep that in mind. Daily candle, bullish. News looking more bullish for gold. I'll be honest, I don't know if I've seen this before. This S&P CS composite. 25th of July. Let's go back and have a look. This drop was ADP last month, I think. Monster. Was it ADP? So I'm just going back and having a look at some of how the market has reacted to this news in the past. Like I say, I genuinely don't really recall seeing this news. I haven't really looked into it too much. It is listed as a red folder here. And you know, I'm sure someone wants to ask, how is this going to affect gold? Well, the answers are on the chart. Everything you need to know is on the chart. So that's what I'm doing now, just going back and having a look at some of this data. Yeah, it doesn't look like it does too much, to be honest. Not really bringing crazy volatility, but may give you cleaner direction at NYSE. But today we've got news 30 minutes after NYC, so could be a tricky one. This 1917.5 yesterday was definitely a strong area of contention. So we held that level through Asian session, London session, and then once you had that breakout, you know, we had a little retest there, even had a deeper retest and had a nice reaction there. So you know, that could even be your area where you get a retest and you start to see that continuation. But I would rather be seeing those pullbacks to 1920 or better yet to 1922.5. What's up, Corpse? Good morning, Benny from Mexico. Mateo, how's it going? Long time. got 20 minutes until the 4-hour close, 20 minutes until this news. I don't think this news will do too much. If we could possibly get into a nice position before jolts, and possibly get into profit before jolts, move stop loss to break even, leave a small position through the news, that'll be cool. It's always nice if you can get a position before the news. It is always a bit of a gamble. You don't know how that news will come out. But let's say we end up taking the bars off 1915, right? And then you're sitting up 20-30 pips before the news, stop loss at entry, and then if that news comes out negative for the dollar, you've got a pretty nice position there, back up to 26, 25, possibly even 30. Need to be very careful in this zone. You could easily see rejections here. Like I say, that could be the bottom wick for the daily to actually continue up. So that's why I don't mind taking the bars in this area if you get confirmations. It's up. What's it up? Is anybody in any trades? Or did anybody take any trades earlier today? Let me know. How did it go? Anybody catch the sales coming down? What you catch, Nate? 100 pips. GJ buy, GJ short, GU short. Oh. Okay, you closed above 1915 here very weak candle on the 15-minute. Your 5-minute formed support off of 1915. We came back into 1915, but still failing to break below there. So looking like more of a rejection, looking like we could begin to pull back here. I'm interested in bars off of this level. I don't really want to be getting in on a 1 minute, and also it's the first minute of the 15 minutes. Also kind of just catching a falling knife here. Yeah, we've tapped into that. If you're looking at the daily, this is basically your daily support here at 1914.5. So we've tapped into that daily support. You know, after quite a clean move down, you would think that a pullback is needed. And also just being the lows of this overall range, you know, we could easily see rejections here moving back up in the overall range. It's a little bit more of a riskier idea, these bars, but in line with the daily, I don't mind giving it a shot for the overall potential. I mean, bars off of 1915, you've got potential for runners all the way to 1930. Just depends how things go this afternoon. See, this is what, when I say trend lines are subjective, this is what I mean. Where exactly do you put this trend line? There? Is that the breakout? Is it here? This 1915, is it worth that significance? Possibly. So far, it's the only level that we really had some sort of reaction on this push all the way down here. You know, you had a very clean move all the way down for like 8 15-minute candles. So 2 hours you're pushing straight bearish. 1915 is just a brick wall all of a sudden. So I mean, price is definitely respecting that level. Also here, when we initially broke into this area, 1915 was a very nice area of contention. Looks like we're breaking that previous 5-minute high. Let's see. something. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna give it a shot here. Gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna take these bars on the break of the previous 5-minute high. Stops are going to be pretty small here below 1915. Let's call it 1914.5. Nice reaction. Looking to push up into 1920 at least. 1917.5 may be an issue. And then runners up to 1930. I guess it would help if I put in a stop loss. Stop loss is important sometimes, yes. Every now and then. So yeah, this gray zone is exactly that. It's a gray zone. You need to just be careful of it. But I'm expecting pushes to 1920 at least. So we can call that TP, TP1, and break even. That London support is definitely a level to watch out for rejections. But let's call 1925 TP2. And then run a TP 1930. Yeah, I'm in. I'm in. You got 6 minutes until news as well. That news, the news at 3 shouldn't be too heavy. But let's just be careful. And yeah, I'm not expecting this news to have a major impact. But it would actually be ideal to be going break even before that news possibly. Your new 4 hour is also going to open obviously. And this 4 hour looks like it'll close very strong bearish by the looks of things. So yeah, I just need to be careful. So if you're closing bearish on the 4 hour, just, you know, from what we see time and time again, is there's a higher probability you move in that direction with NYSE or whatever goes on later in the afternoon. So kind of trading against that, you know, it is a riskier idea. But for the new 4 hour, if there were no news, you know, I would think that your new 4 hour would potentially pull back to 1920 for the top wick anyway. So what I'm looking at, I think, would still be valid. I wouldn't normally be looking to trade this pullback idea. I would be waiting for the pullback, looking for the sells. But based off of the daily candle, what we've seen on the daily, and understanding that these are the lows of this range that we've been in, if we zoom out, I'm willing to give it a shot. What's up, Mr. Wayne? Yeah, tough, 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 tough. It really is a little bit of a catching a falling knife situation, but, you know, just trusting my experience here. Trusting my gut. Your previous 5 minute was very nice and bullish there. Very strong. You know, we've also closed above this minor resistance on the 5, and then this new 5 created a nice bottom wick, kind of retesting that little zone. So just looking at the 1 minute structure as well, you don't really want to break below this 1 minute structure, which is right where our entry is. So if we are coming back to entries at this point, manage your position. I'll most probably go break even in the next minute or so, to be honest, before the new 4 hour. I think at this point what I'll do is I'll move my stop loss into 1915.4. You got 30 seconds until the news. It's just below this 1 minute structure here, and then your previous 5 minute candle there, very bullish. You know, you don't want to see that bullish engulfing candle now be cancelled out. So stop loss just below that candle. Okay, it's going to be ideal here to see a push I know it's the very beginning of the new 4 hour, but it would be ideal to see that push. We are breaking the previous candle high. You'll see the 30-minute close bullish. So can we get a push there on the new candle here? 4 hour candle is very tough. You know, we're trading against that heavy bearish candle. So just be aware of that. You know, understand whatever risk you've put on the table today. Maybe you can lower the risk, whatever the case. Stops are relatively small. For me, this was an idea worth giving a shot. Just for the overall potential upside here. And actually, I have my heart more set on sells, but I'm very convinced that there's a high probability we come up into 1920 before seeing those sells materialize. But like I say, with the news, things could be all over the place. So if you are taking buys off of the lows here, getting to break even, you have potential to leave runners with the news, depending on how the news comes out, all the way to 1930. So like I say, that's kind of the reasoning for me taking a slightly riskier trade idea here today. I don't like this zone we're coming into. It is going to be a tough area. But if we can close and hold above 17.5, I believe that there's a high probability to move up to 1920. PE. Yes, sir. Let's do it. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to move my stop loss to break even. Call it 1916.3. Pushed into a little bit of profit here. Like I say, this is a counter trend idea. If volume comes in, we reject 1917.5 hard. You know, it's going to be very tricky to manage at that point, because we could easily come back down into 1915. I don't want to risk that drawdown after being in profit, understanding that this was a riskier trade idea, counter trend idea. You know, so manage a little bit more aggressively. You don't exactly have like a nice trend going on gold right now. We are just in a range. So you saw yesterday, management was aggressive and it ended up going against me. Or not going against me, I mean, I think it was a great trade. I think that was a beauty, but I was out. You know, I took like a break even basically. I took 3 pips out of the market and it ran nearly 100 pips. But I understood market conditions and this kind of little range here, I didn't want to sit through that. It was later in the session that move happened, so I'm happy that I managed the trade the way I did. And even if I get wicked out today and then it rockets 200 pips, it is what it is. I have to manage the risk, keep the losses small. There's gonna be better days. NFP on Friday, so I mean, you are up 10, 12 pips. If anybody's happy with that, you know. Let's see if this 5 closes above 17.5. We can possibly start to move up to 1920. Yeah, that news definitely didn't have any sort of major impact. It was good though. All the more reason to move stops to break even, right? certain people are going to Kablown on Friday. Nah, don't worry. If you're in the chat, if you're on the stream on Friday, there'll be no blowing of accounts. Yeah, hopefully NIC gives you a bit of a push here, but it's tough. 7 pips. Up about 7-8 pips. But this could be your resistance coming in, unless this 5 can flip bullish, break the previous candle high. If we close bearish here, then it's kind of just a fake out of that 17.5. I mean, you can see that level yesterday was pretty strong. Look at the hour candle. That previous hour looks more like a rejection. Everything is on the screen here. TP1 1920. I'll probably secure the majority of my position right there. Like 60% of my position. No. Who can spam the most W's? You know, if you send W's, you have to send L's if I take an L as well. You know that, right? It's only fair. I need some character building. I need more pain. Helps me grow. Big and strong. No, so spamming W's and it's coming back now. Okay, guys, give me 2 seconds, alright? So, you know, at this point for me, it's either we push up to 1920 and I secure a little bit, or break even. If this 5 minutes closes like that, if you break this 5 minute low here, because it looks like you'll close a doji, you might want to manage your position there. If you break that low, close out some profit or whatever. I'm willing to kind of just let this run, to be honest. He's still above 1917.5, but yeah, breaking that previous 5 minute low, we might get tapped out at break even. Or if this is your resistance forming, you could even come back down to 1915. So Good idea to have the stop loss at entry there. I just need the toilet. Give me 2 seconds, guys. So to be exact, my stop loss is at 16.3. I'm thinking to put it like 2 pips lower. You know, the 2 pip stop for 100 pip TP, 150 pip TP, not the end of the world, right? Just below this structure. Yeah, I'm gonna put my stop loss at 1916 flat. It's not gonna make a world of a difference, but that 5 minute looks decent. Pulled back a little bit and now flipping bullish. If you break that previous 5 minute high, you know, like I said, we were still closing above 17.5 here. Quite a strong level yesterday. So if we break that previous 5 minute high, I'm expecting that push on the new 15 minute to 1920. Closed bullish. This is the new 15 minute. So just getting a little bit of a bottom wick. But still closed nice and bullish on that 15. You know, you don't really want to see the previous 15-minute low being broken. So if you do want to just put stops at break even, makes sense. One to 43. gone to 43 RR. Sheesh. It's mad. Just be aware, once we do break the previous 15-minute high, that push to 1920 may be fast. And you may react from 1920 very quickly as well. So be ready with your finger on the trigger once we start to break the previous 15-minute high, just to get ready to close out some. This overall zone, we could even find resistance here at NYC and just see this continuation for this bearish move as discussed. But for those sells, I did want to see the pullbacks to 1920. I think after the 15-minute close, like I say, we don't want to break that previous 15-minute low, so moving the stop loss to break even, I think is sensible. So yeah, I've moved my stop loss to entry now. There we're breaking that previous 15-minute high. Could get that push. Push, push, push. If we get to 19.5 before NYC, probably just take 60% of my profit there. I don't necessarily need a tap into 1920 to take some off. But let's see how we're coming into this zone with this pre-NYC volume. Five-minute closing very strong. New 5 minutes about to open in 10 seconds. I wonder if that new 5 will just give us the push all the way to 1920. Nice volume here. Yeah, we should be alright here. Push, push, push. Push, push, push. Be ready with your finger on the trigger to close some. You know, there is a bit of traffic here on the 30-minute to the left. And I mean, like I say, we're in this range. There's a lot of noise to the left. So just be careful. Yeah, Nico, I think you broke the chat. Can we get that pushed to 1920? Okay, I'm gonna close out some here. We've got 8 minutes until NYC, so that's why I'm closing out partials here. Starting to see a little bit of a rejection. So about 23, 24 pips there. Closed out 50% here at 24 pips. And let's see what the rest of this position does. The 4 hour looks really ugly for the bars. I can't deny that. 4 hour looks terrible. So, you know, overall, I came into the session wanting the sells, but taking these counter trend bars for the pullback, since you had such a clean move down, you know, I've seen when you have these cleaner moves, the pullback is there's a very high probability of a pullback, and I'm normally waiting for that pullback for the sells. But if you can see reactions from a key level, support being formed, and you know you've got range back to those levels where you kind of want to pull back into, why not give it a shot? And then, for instance, today we have that news that could end up turning the 4 hour situation on its head, and you come back up to the daily highs, possibly even up to 1930. There was a situation the other day. Right here, you had a clean move coming into New York session, so New York Open, nice clean move, and then that there's a very high probability you pull back into the support at about 1910. So it is a bit of a cowboy move, and I mean, I probably wouldn't have taken the bars on this day. Didn't make as much sense. But if you got range, you can see the volume is shifting. I mean, it's worth a shot. But then once you come into those key levels, just be ready to see those rejections like that, because, on that particular day, I was actually waiting for these sells, which turned out to be beautiful. So today, I don't want to lose sight of that possible situation there, where we get that resistance forming around 1920, and then we get that continuation of this move from earlier in the session. So that's a relatively high probability idea. So we need to just be careful at 1920 with the bars. If there's enough confirmation for sells, I would probably just close full on the bars. Or what do you guys want to do? Hedge? We can hedge. Take bars and sells before the news. Have both trades with stop loss at break even, and then let the news do its thing. No, I'm joking. That's ridiculous. Waiting for resistance on the 15 or 30, then I take sells. Lovely. Yeah, I think in this time, all you need is a 15-minute. Might get a bit messy waiting for a 30-minute resistance with that news. So yeah, NYSE is going to be interesting. You got a minute here until NYSE. I'm thinking NYSE gives you the push to 1920, possibly find resistance there, or we may even be pushing up to 1922, and then if we get rejections of 1922, that's something I've seen a lot as well, where if you've got a range through London, and then between London session and New York Open, you get some sort of move like this, we often tend to retrace and retest that support from London session. So it is a very deep pullback. It's also tricky, just the fact that we're in this overall range still. But 1922, look at all the reactions there. So if you come up into 1922, see rejections, it's not a bad idea looking to come down to 1915 again. Yeah, let's not get taken away here though. NYC Open. Full margin on 2 accounts, power one, so what is that? How you blow 2 accounts at once? Ooh. Yeah, tough. NYC not really giving that push to 1920. Yeah, we might come back to entries here. So, you know, if you haven't secured some, secure some. Already closed out 50% of my position. Yeah, for those sells, I wanted to be tapping 1920, to be honest. Yeah, so this traffic on the 30-minute at NYC is giving you a bit of a problem there. He's still above that 17.5 level. You know, NYC sometimes can give you a pullback to retest a key level or previous structure before you see the actual move with NYC. So maybe we're just coming to retest this zone. But then again, this could also be your resistance forming here to continue back down to 1915. I'm not going to manage this position. I'm not going to close out anymore just yet. I'm going to give it a chance to do its thing. If I get stopped out at break even with my partials here, that's fine. But this is not enough for me to get into the sells that I wanted to get into. So I don't think it's going to be enough for me to just close my buys either. I think this was just a retest of 17.5. 1920. I don't want to say that we should or that it's imminent, but I still think there's a very high probability that we tap 1920. It just makes sense to me. It is this previous structure here on the hour. And then once you've got taps of 1920, you can be a little bit more aggressive with sell ideas. This is not enough. This 5-minute bearish candle there. And in fact, if we are forming support here with NYSE volume, you may even get those pushes now before the news up to 22. If this 5-minute closes above 1920, then we're in for a very high probability to push to 1922. But if this 5 closes bullish above 1920 and the next 5 closes bearish below, then that's a fake out. And then you could look at the sells of 1920. Just about tapped this support from, it was actually from last night. That structure on the hour time frame there. So you are seeing some signs of rejection there. This 5-minute looks like it will form support. It's just that you've got these possible rejection areas here. So you know the setup on the 5 looks nice for buyers. This is kind of what I would like to look for at NYC. But yeah, just based on the fact that we're in this range, it's choppy. There's no clear trend right now. On like the hour and the 4-hour time frames, you know, so it's pretty tough. I'm not going to be adding to this position, but we have formed support here on the 5. You're still below these rejection areas though as well, so just be careful of that. In fact, if the next 5 closes bearish, I would think that that's enough data to then possibly even take those sells. I don't think I've ever done that before on a stream where I've actually been in bars and then gotten out and taken sells immediately. But hopefully we can just do the one trade. Hopefully this is a banger. So we're tapping 19.5, that support there to the left. Like I say, that 1920 is right there. Very high probability we tap 1920 now. 15-minute candle is closing in 2-3 minutes. We grabbed some nice liquidity there from 17.5. You know, if this 15 can close above 1920, we may be in a nice position here coming into the news. So I've already secured 50% there at about 24 pips before NYSE open. My plan moving forward is either secure more right before the news. You know, if we're hovering around 1920 or we get clear signs of rejection of 1920, then I will look to close. We're pushing up nicely here. Pushing quite hard into 1920, so be careful of rejections here. But my plan is either to secure at 1922 or right before news, and then leave just a very small runner into the news, which is, like I say, risky. But if you're sitting up, you know, 30 to 40 pips and you got your stop loss at entry, you should be okay. Yeah, strong rejections of 1920. We look okay here. Actually not looking too bad. It's going to be ideal to see the 15-minute closing above 1920 here for the buys. If you're looking for sells in this area, which I am, even though I'm holding these buys still, but price hasn't told me to get out just yet. If we close below 1920, I'll probably close out a bit more of my position here. Yeah, let's see. Let's give it a second. Still closing very bullish on the 515. Okay, breaking the previous 15-minute high. Not really seeing hard rejections of 1920, so maybe those sell ideas are chalked and we push up to 1922 here. No, that's fine. I don't mind not getting the sells. The buys are pretty good here. I don't need to be greedy and take the buys and sells. But like I say, that was my idea coming into the day for the sells. I wanted to see this pullback and see the sells set up, but I took a chance taking the counter trend buys, you know, capitalizing on that pullback. But if we see that resistance forming and my initial plan coming into fruition, then, you know, I'm still open to executing on that and then hopping out of these buys. Don't try this at home. Current 15-minute candle has no bottom wick. But what you'll notice is the previous 15 has a very nice bottom wick. So, you know, on that previous 15-minute candle at NYC, you grabbed a lot of liquidity, meaning that this current 15 didn't necessarily need to create much of a bottom wick. So there's always a probability you come and get a bottom wick, but it's not something I'm concerned about. Although I'd like to see this 5 actually closing above 1920 now. because we're still hovering right around 1920, where I do believe we may still see rejections. Now we shoot to 1926 one candle. Hopefully. And then we call it a day. So that 1926 is basically your daily highs. You'll also notice further to the left was quite a strong rejection level right there, 1926. And you know, with the daily, previous daily being bullish, this daily actually just created a steeper bottom wick. And we're flipping back bullish on this daily. So if we do come up to 1926, it's completely dependent on the news at that point. But if news is even slightly negative for the dollar, and you're breaking the daily highs at 26, expect 1930. In fact, just because it's news, we don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to put my TP at 1932.5. That's just my overall higher time frame target there. So you're getting a very nice push here. I'm just going to mark these both up as runner TP, 1930 and 1932. I'll leave it to you to decide. Hmm? 10 minutes until news, setting up quite nicely here. Up about 50 pips. You know, we should push up into 1922. Or excuse me, I shouldn't say should. But there's a high probability here we push up into 1922. A little bit of noise here on the 15. Yeah, okay, that's enough for me. I'm gonna close out a little bit more here. So I've closed out about 80% of my position there. Just got a very small runner here. And we can just see what the news does. Should be about 50 pips. 19.47. 20.8. 45 pips. Yo, let's see what the news does. Diamonds. Some onion browser signals. What the fuck is that, Ned? Some um dark web shit. So a completely risk-free trade running up about 50 pips. You've got jolts in 8 minutes. Jolts and CV consumer confidence. So if you are in this position, or if you are in any trade, just be careful with the news coming up. On this particular trade, at the end of the day, it's my trade, but if you did happen to take a trade that looks very similar to this, put your stop loss at your entry. So worst case scenario, you get taken out at break even, and I hope that you've secured some. But do not be greedy. Personally, I wasn't expecting us to actually push up so deep. You know, as per my plan for the day, of course there was a possibility for this move up, and that's why I executed and had these targets where they are. But I was actually looking for the sells, so I'm very happy with that. I've secured the majority, and if that news gives you the push to the upside, amazing. But I've got a very small position here. I do not care what happens next. That was a bicep vein pattern. Oh shit. So I know I laid out these TP1, TP2, you know, I'm not always going to stick to it 100%. The reason I'm not letting it run to TP2 and I'm closing out the majority right here is we are coming into this London support zone, general zone, and you've got the news in 5 or 6 minutes. So rather just take what the market gives you, leave a runner if you can, call it a day. Things really turn on the head today. Mateo, what's up? I think you and I both are shocked right now. Cheers, Nico. I'll be back before the news, okay? I'm gonna just hop up for a second. 1 to 1 to 43 RR. Where was that stop just now? Something like that. DXY rejected as well. Yeah, you know, DXY was strong coming into the session, but when you come into the highs, you can't be expecting too much more. You don't ever really expect it to break a level. Or think that it should. So yeah, I had that London support marked up at 22.5, but you've come up into 22 just about, and you are seeing some rejections there. So kind of what I would have wanted to see for those sells. You can see all the rejections here from 22. So you know, with news, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be very tough. But based off of that 5-minute candle as it stands, if it were to close bearish engulfing, that would kind of be what I was looking for the sell ideas here. But yeah, timing for that idea is just horrible. And the fact that I've got such a small position left for the buys, I'm gonna take a chance and let it run through the news. These sells are no for now. You got 30 seconds until news. Put your seatbelts on. Drum roll. Hey boys, fucking TP hit. Ah, that is a trade. Yeah, I'm gonna close. So close full around here, 1926. Yeah, about 96 pips. Hey yo. What a trade. We did it, boys. Like I say, if you can find a way to get into a trade before the news that makes sense, you don't want to just enter a stupid trade, but if there's something that makes sense, it's always nice to hold a trade through the news. Like I said, left a very small position there, but it played out beautifully. I know we didn't quite get to 1930. I would expect now you probably had negative numbers there for jolts, and you'll most probably move into 1930, but you know, at the same time, wow, you had really bad numbers. Yeah, 1930 will most probably be hit by the end of the day. But that was a super quick move. Nice and easy, so I'm out. Happy with that. Nostradamus. Yeah, happy with that. So, thank you everybody for joining today. The Discord, free Discord, the link is in the video description. I did put a message in there yesterday. If anybody has any suggestions for content, let me know. I'm more interested in doing educational content. So what I'll do is I'm going to start working on a video for beginners. lay out a bit of a roadmap based on what I've done. So I'm not going to discuss all the different strategies you can use. I'm going to go over what I've done in my trading career. And I hope that helps anybody who is new. And then, like I say, if you guys have any suggestions, if there's anything you want to see, if there's anything you're unsure of, maybe you've been watching the stream for a while and there's something you're not quite grasping, let me know. I will make content on that. But thank you guys so much for joining today. I'll see you tomorrow. Beautiful trade today. On to the next one. Cheers. Thank you.